All right, guys. Hey, this is James grabbing the brisket. Dude, that new intro is killer.
It is.
Love it.
It's so good. Like, I really enjoy this. Yes, I do. Yeah. You just hear it. Boom, boom, boom. You're just ready to, like...
Yeah, I'm just going to cut it and just, like, post that to Spotify so I can listen to that 12
just
seconds.
Just over and over. The 30-second intro just over and over and again. I mean, let's do it.
I love it.
So, hey, we got a wonderful interview for you guys coming up in, like, few seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Doug Scheiding from Rogue Cookers. This guy, I mean, you might as well just grab your pen and paper because he's going to be spewing the knowledge of competition barbecue and just barbecue in general. I mean, this guy is a world champion in multiple large cook-offs. I mean, so this guy knows a lot of stuff. Traeger ambassador. He's an ambassador for Head Country Barbecue.
Rocket scientist.
He is a rocket scientist.
I mean...
turned pitmaster. So, I mean, super personable, funny dude. I mean, I don't know how much I can hype the guy up a little bit. I mean, we might as well just roll right into the interview and let's just get going, right?
Let's do this.
All right, guys and gals, this is James from Grabbing the Brisket. So today we're joined with Doug Scheiding with Rogue Cookers. So a lot of people out there, I'm sure, is familiar with their work. I know I am, just being in the competition barbecue world and my, I guess, volunteering services at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So I'm quite familiar with your work and some of the stuff that you've done out there, Doug. But welcome to the show. First of all, we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to talk a little barbecue with us. Let's just get right into it. I mean, this is going to be your show. So this is your show to run. We got a lot of questions, whether it's regarding to competition barbecue or maybe the Head Country or Traegers that you're a representative of. So super excited and super stoked to talk barbecue with you.
Appreciate. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I was looking forward to it when y'all reached out to schedule me. And gosh, 2 months out. That's impressive that you've got you're that OCD and you have the schedule down that you can. Well, we'll get you in a couple months. So Craig said the same thing. You know. So I think and he. Oh, by the way, he said to say hi. He didn't. He said I didn't have to say it on the show tonight, but I listened to his episode and I could tell he really enjoyed it. And it just made me want to reach out to him and tell him that I think the old Craig Sherry's back.
Yes. Nice. We enjoyed. I mean, that dude is he's what would you say? He's cut from the old cloth, so to speak. I mean, he's old school. Like,
oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I love Craig. He's a little hard to get to know. Break in that outer shell, but now his I told his wife, I said, is your wife still full of piss and vinegar? Because I love it when she's a head judge. So, yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, so yeah, Houston Rodeo is kind of where I made my mark, and so that really kind of changed things for me in my barbecue career, obviously. So
what year was that that you won out there?
I won in 2015. Okay. I was cooking for Across the Track. I had actually met him at the San Antonio Rodeo, and they had won in 2013 as well. And, as far as I know, they got an argument over the trophies and he didn't have a cook, and he cooked next to me at the San Antonio Rodeo when I was cooking by myself that time. The last competition I actually cooked on a offset, by the way, a gator pit, and wound up getting second in brisket and 16th in chicken and fourth overall out of like 300 teams. And so he actually called me later and asked me to cook the jack, because when you win the Houston, you get an automatic entry into the American Royal and jack. And so he had actually called me like on a Monday and asked me to cook the jack for him that next weekend. Went and did that. Oh gosh, it was crazy. It was 80 hours of just it was just unbelievable. And so he also asked me to cook the Houston Rodeo in 2014. And I think I got 19th in brisket that year. And he told me that I was on probation for one more year. And then lo and behold, we happened to win it in 2015 with chicken, believe it or not.
Wow. Well, I guess since then, I think last year the rules changed a little bit out there as far as the meats that you can turn in. Because before, all you had to do was just turn in like one meat. Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, you're totally correct. And what it was is, basically if you had one space, you could turn in one meat, right? But if you had two spaces, you could turn in two. If you had 3 and 4, and I think it stopped at 4, even if you had 6 spaces or whatever. So you could choose and pick whatever you want. Well, I love cooking brisket. That's why I cooked brisket the first time and did pretty well. But I was like, gosh, the fewest number of people turn in chicken, and I did pretty well in chicken and have kind of known for that. And so I was like, I'll turn in chicken. And so that's actually why I did it, because, to make the finals, you have to be top 8. And at that time, it was about 90 or 100 people turning in chicken, and I thought, well, my odds are best with that as compared to ribs or brisket, and that's actually why I did it. And oddly enough, that year that we did win, chicken won first, second, and third that year.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, especially being in Texas, you would figure brisket would just be up there just a little bit.
Brisket, ribs, something.
Right? Hey, nobody cares about ribs. I mean, brisket in Texas, come on.
Exactly, and you think of the judges as good old boys, and somehow chicken did well that year. And I mean, I was lucky enough to beat Darren Worth by like 0.4 points or something like that. I consider him the GOAT of competition barbecue cooking, but that's certainly debatable. But heck of a nice guy, but he wound up winning it a few years later. So and after that, now I cook for Wild Game Crew, if you're familiar with those guys, Roger and Mike Pujol and Tom Pirtle. So
no, I'm not.
I'm cooking with them. They're basically right next to like where they serve the barbecue, to the public. And
yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I know Dennis. Dennis
Butterworth
or Pig. Butter. So it's right next to Butter.
Okay, awesome. Know exactly where that's at.
Yeah, so I actually found, when we were in Champions Row, happened to meet Tom Pirtle again. Hadn't seen him in like 27 years. They came and met everybody, and I was actually more interested in Paul Shoddy, the VP of Head Country that came in, and I was interested because I've used Head Country for a long time, and so I was actually concentrating on him, and then I heard Tom Pirtle's name, and I was like, I know Tom Pirtle, and I had met him 27 years ago. He's a trial lawyer in Houston, actually well known, and so then I switched over to their team. So I've been on their team for 4 years or so.
Awesome. Well, listen, I mean, not to get too far ahead of us, can we go back and kind of like get like how you got into barbecue? Because I mean, doing my due diligence and my hard research and listening to the Central Barbecue Show and all this stuff like that. So yes, so obviously you went to school for aerospace engineering. How did that lead into barbecue? I mean, when did you first get into barbecue? And then when did you realize that, I mean, that's just what your passion is. That's what you want to pursue.
I got into barbecue. I actually never cooked. I was Mr. Microwave boy. I would make salad and nachos if I had to cook. My dad cooked steaks, so it's not a family thing. My mom cooked about 3 or 4 things regularly. So I my wife always cooked. She's the true chef in the family, and as it relates to the engineering side, did you ever watch the Food Network? The next Food Network star, on TV. Oh yeah. So Chef Aaron McCargo, of Big Daddy's House. He was from New Orleans, had the 2 earrings and stuff. So I think he won, is it season 4? It was about 2008, I think it was. So I had just cleaned, and some people have heard this, but this kind of goes to the science part of my cooking style. I had just cleaned my battery terminals on one of our cars that we don't use very much, and our play car, and on Saturday. On Sunday, he does a rib recipe, and he pours Coke into the ribs as the moisture when he wraps. And I'm like, gosh, if it'll clean battery, acid off your terminals, it'll probably dang sure tenderize some meat.
Yeah.
And so that actually got me really curious. And so the next weekend I cooked some ribs and, put them in, not on the grill or anything, because I had done, the Smoky Mountain, and I hated that water pan in that thing. But so I did it in the oven, and they came out pretty darn good. So I was like, gosh, this is kind of interesting. So I started getting a little bit and I obsess about recipes. Just like I posted on Instagram today, I get into a recipe and I obsess about it, and I'll cook it 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and then I'll move on to something else. So that's just the way I am, because I'm always having a competition when I cook. If I cook two things of ribs, I'm going to change one variable. If I cook 4 ribs, I'm probably going to change one variable 4 different ways. Maybe one, different finishing finishing glaze, or one different rub. So I'm always having a competition. And as an engineer, you're always just tweaking one thing. And so that's part of how my science background gets into the competition barbecue. And about that same time, when I had been watching, Best Food Network Star, or the next Food Network Star, I used to play tennis. So I was a really, not a pro level, like a teaching pro level, but the next level down. So I did leagues and played tennis in high school, and was 4th in the state in my senior year in New Mexico. And would go to Lubbock, not Flubbock, but Lubbock every weekend. As Craig says, but that was the big city. I grew up in Clovis, New Mexico, just right across the border. But so I played tennis for 30 years, and I blew out my knee, and so I love to compete. And so that's how, basically the marriage of my competition spirit and, always wanting to improve and tweak, and I call it OCD tendencies, but really that helps me with, doing the same thing consistently and doing it over and over and over. But I always tweak one variable.
See, I am right there with you, and I am not listen, Doug, I am not as smart as you are.
He is not a smart man.
I used to be smart. Yeah. I used to be smart. I can take a test.
Right.
You ever seen Forrest Gump?
But
this guy.
But I love the fact that, and that's something that I'm more apt to. I'm always trying to not change a recipe, but I'm always more about, let's tweak something. Let's just change something. Let's just see how does this compare to what it did last time or whatever else. However, I will say, every once in a while, it's good to go back to the roots and go back to how it began and whatever else, because I really feel like the flavor profiles and people's palates are always changing, and you're always trying to get something just slightly different than what it was, than what anybody else is turning in. But my example I'm fixing to say is that I actually got with James, and I'm almost scolding him a little bit, like, we have to change our recipe. We've got to try something different. It's not working. And then we're in a cook-off. It's 166 teams, and we get second. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
In the one you were going to change.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, and that was just like, it was just the alignment happening that one day, going, Jan, just stop talking.
I'm pretty sure that's Murphy's Law.
Well, in competition, if you go like three competitions and you're not hitting, and that's one of the problems, if you're really not hitting in top 10, and there's 100 teams, you could be 11th or 99 or dead ass last.
That's right.
But with chicken and just changing one variable, I went through a period of time, like you say, went 6-8 months and didn't hit in chicken. So I said, okay, time to go back to the drawing board and just start over. And so I cooked chicken literally every weekend for 8 weeks. And I would have a contest, and I would cook at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 halves. And then I'd have my wife, and I was giving chicken away to everybody, and everyone got tired of chicken. But that's how I actually came up with my recipe. And one of the things that's different than there's 2 things about competition barbecue that's different for me than most people. A lot of people, like Craig said, take the classes, the same profile, everyone's tastes the same. That's one of the reasons I started listening to the Barbecue Central show. Is I was infatuated with his barbecue roundtables, and I'd listen to those things. This is going back a time, but 2009, 10, 8, and I'd listen to him like 4 or 5 times. But I'd bring their rubs in because I always wanted to bring rubs that were used outside of Texas into Texas and incorporate them into my recipe. So, like on the Houston Rodeo, it's the Harry Sue jailbird chicken. Rub. That's my primary rub. I love the orange. It's almost like a Gatorade taste to it. And I love that citrus taste to it. So I try to bring flavors from outside of Texas in, always have. And then secondly, I like my barbecue that I turn in. And I feel like I'm just like every other judge that's potentially out there. And if you're a competition cook, if you're on the other side of the table, you don't want a competition cook as a judge because we're very harsh. But I like to eat my food that I turn in. So you might amp it up just a little bit so it has a little more salt or whatever, just a little more flavor in that one bite. But I'll turn it down just a tad, but it's still the same recipe. So every time I cook at home, like a brisket and stuff, like this weekend, I did a point and a flat, and I did 2 different rubs and 2 different injections on them just to kind of try different flavor profiles. We had some friends over, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And so just to get their comments. So I'm always trying to change something and tweak something, and I keep a journal. I highly recommend everybody, keeps a journal. So just like you said, to go back and kind of start over, you can go back, 2 months. You might think you're doing something the exact same in terms of the rub or finishing rub or whatever. And then you go back and I used to cook at 300. Now I'm at 325. And, it's just small things like that where you just kind of need to reset.
I could not agree more, and it's something that I probably obsess over the most as far as in my home cooking or anything else, is that I'm always thinking about what does it taste like in competition. And first and foremost, I do think that everybody, and I say this all the time, if you're going to be a competition cooker, you've got to go judge some competitions, right? That first and foremost,
absolutely,
that kind of tells you what's going on. But I really. I guess maybe it's my personality. I always want to be just a little bit against the grain. Like everybody else is going one way. I always want to do something just a tad differently. Now, a lot of times that gets me in trouble because I go too far out in left field, and then it's hard to reel me back in. So,
are you talking about Satan's?
Satan's chicken was not a great idea to do, but I probably produced one of the hottest chickens I think I'd ever done in my life, and turned it in, and it was what it was. It was one of those moments that I put something together and I'm glazing, and then somebody goes, "Did you try this?" And I said, "No, I've never tried this, but it can't be that hot." And when I tried it, let me tell you, it was one of the hottest glazes I think I've ever had in my life, besides just pure hot sauce. And I was like, oh my God, I think I've ruined the judges.
Yeah, whoever tasted that was not going to be able to taste anything else.
Well, think about
exactly. You ruined everybody else behind you.
Think about a table of 6 people or 8 people having to eat that whole thing. Their palates are ruined. There's no way they can judge anybody else's stuff. So it was not a good thing. But at the same time, in my head, I had what it should be like. I just didn't realize how hot that was that I was adding to it.
You didn't execute.
I did not execute.
Yeah, that's the whole don't try new things in competition. Right, maybe practice at home a little bit.
Well, I do. I grabbed a bottle of Louisiana hot sauce.
No, it was Scorpion. It was Scorpion hot sauce.
It's still made by Louisiana, and I thought I was thinking to myself, like, this is not that hot. This is like a hot sauce. So I added a couple of drops to it, but those couple of drops, oh my God, they were so freaking hot. I was like, what have I done? So it is what it is. You know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. But out of that, and which I'm always preaching this to everybody else, is like, listen, if everybody turns in a cherry glaze, a red cherry, pineapple glaze on their chicken, well, let me tell you, you're going to be judged like you just got turned in with 40 other teams. The same thing. So I'm always looking for something a little bit different, a little bit. If everybody's glazing something really heavy, then maybe I want to go a little lighter on the glaze. Go something a little saltier or something a little brinier. I'm not sure, but is that something you find yourself trying to see what's happening or what's going on, or are you always? I'm assuming you're always trying something different, anyways. But still,
yeah, to a certain degree. But I try not to steer too far off the course. But for a while there, I was hitting in brisket, and then I all of a sudden I wasn't hitting. You go through cycles, right? You hit well in chicken, and then the brisket goes away, and then you hit well in brisket, and chicken or ribs go away. But I was off on brisket for a while. And it was actually partially my stubbornness, and I think it was what the guys from the last show that said that they've been saucing their brisket for 7 years, right?
Yeah,
I think something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm a domain hoarder, and so I've got just au jus it, au jus only. I've got all kinds of domains related to not saucing your brisket. Let's say all kinds.
Right.
I say 4 or 5 maybe. And so I was stubborn about that because to me it was blasphemy. As bad as squeezing your meat on Instagram and having the juices come out.
That's right.
But anyway, so I went and judged a few contests, and lo and behold, I got kind of an idea of what people were doing, and so now I actually do, sauce my brisket to a certain degree. So
I'm right there. I'm a person that does not sauce a brisket, and I will fight.
Yep.
I fight myself internally on this because I'm like, just because people are saucing a brisket, do I want to be a little bit different than what they are?
Well, yeah,
I'm right
at home. I don't sauce. In a competition, I will sauce just a little bit.
I'm really glad you brought this up because I was actually going to ask you this question just from what I was last week with the Dirty Underwear gang. There, I was like,
yes,
I've got to ask more competition cookers, are you saucing your brisket? And
they said 7 years, right?
Yeah,
I think they said 7 years.
7 years.
We are so behind.
I know. Here's still for 5 years, though, I've been talking about this because I think that's naturally where the barbecue is going to go, but I think it's going to take a turn. So 5 years from now, who knows what it's going to be like? Or are they doing something different to the barbecue? Which I actually love the fact that if you look back, from the time you got started doing this to where it is now, I mean, how many times have you changed a profile or a recipe or anything else? Like it's always evolving.
Yeah, it is. It evolved quite a bit. Let's say the first 5 years, I changed a lot. Like in the beginning, I did cherry chipotle ribs, cherry chipotle ribs, and I made my rub, from scratch. I made my sauce and did all that, and then. I just found, it started changing because my supplier had changed paprika, and my flavor profile was off, and I said, okay. So I actually kind of scratched that and then went, to all commercial. But probably for the last, I'd say 5-6 years, I've got mostly the same base recipe. Because like on chicken, I'll do 2 ribs, I'll do 3 rubs, brisket, I'll do probably 3.
And what exactly are those recipes? I'd like to write this down.
We have a pen and pencil, right, or pen and paper. So what is that? Okay,
I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
SPG is my base rub on my brisket, hands down. Don't change it.
I would definitely agree. Have you used any of the Hardcore Carnivore with Jess Prowl's rub, the red?
Yeah, I've used some of it. My wife loves the charcoal one.
Okay.
And and then I used her. I've played around a little bit during this COVID. I think it's her enhancer one that she has, kind of the it's like a chicken base.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so
Yes.
I've played around a little bit with that. So yeah, I'm as my wife says, if I was a spice girl, I'd be spice hoarder, because I mean I try rubs all the time and I keep them for a bit, and then if I haven't used it for a while, I've got a big like coffee can. And so if I have, because I've got like a little fridge that I keep it in, and then if I haven't used it a while, I'll just pour it in that coffee can, and then once I'll fill it up, and then I'll mix it all up, and then put it in bags and give it to a bunch of her friends have grills and start have Traegers now and start grilling, and some of my friends and stuff. And so I'll just give it to non-competition people, and then I'll just give them those bags of rub to use. And my one of my last batches, my friend was like, "Oh, this is a commercial rub." I'm like, "No, I can't make it. It's a one of a kind. I can't make it again."
One and done.
Yeah, exactly.
You're welcome.
Because it's just a mixture of stuff.
Right.
Dingus.
And earlier you made a comment that you said you cooked your last brisket on offset, and I know that you're a Traeger representative.
Yeah, I cooked my last contest.
Yep.
On an offset was in 2013 at the San Antonio Rodeo, and I got second. I got second in brisket that year, and 2 years before I got fourth in brisket cooking on an offset, a gator pit, and that was the last time I've cooked a competition on an offset. I cooked a few on barrels, and then I switched, and I think I may be the first one in Texas to switch totally to Traegers or pellet cookers, and I was doing that. I guess my first contest was maybe January of 2014 to cook exclusively on Traegers, and I've cooked exclusively on Traegers since that day.
When you first made that switch, how crazy were people looking at you?
As I've said, before, people were complaining because if you remember, I don't know if you remember, but some of the people in IBCA were saying that I was cheating, and so I'd get promoters coming up to me and saying, I know you're okay. It lights the fire once, and that's the thing. It lights the fire once. And just like the guys last week, they've got electrical, contraptions on all their grills, right?
Right.
So, but during that time, there was a push, and there was actually a vote in IBCA whether to allow pellet cookers or not. And I think this was probably 2015 or so. And there was a time that it was controversial. I got called by a few of my friends over on this, over in San Antonio area, the one nut cooker, because I gave up one when I went to Traeger.
Nice.
And but it was a little bit out of necessity, because I used to cook with another a partner, and so when we split up, he actually the gator pit was his, and then the trailer was mine that was built out like a kitchen. So I only had one vehicle to tow, so I needed, that's why I did vertical drums for a while, ugly drum smokers for a while, and then but one of my contests, my food tasted like charcoal. Whether it was the wind, but I had, white billowy smoke, whether it was, the bags of charcoal that I had, I said, okay, I'm not spending $800 and I'm not ever happening again. And so then, but when we went to the Jack in 2013, those guys do it, those people are professionals. I mean, plain and simple. And a lot of them had pellet cookers in their arsenal. And back then I really didn't know what a pellet cooker was. And I took, bought a Traeger. It was $1,000 and bought it at a kiosk in a mall. Said, okay, I'll spend $1,000 and I'll sell it on Craigslist if I don't like it. But they were the first, and I could touch it. I'm a touchy-feely guy. As an engineer, I'm a touchy-feely guy. So I, bugged the guy 3 times, and I finally bought. And my first contest was a Western wood, and I don't know, 140 teams, and I got that. Luckily, they were calling top 20, and I got like a 14th in rib and 16th in brisket, and I cooked everything on one grill. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And so then I got another grill, and I started cooking, exclusively on 2 Traegers for a long time. But now I take at least 3.
So I love this, and I'm not gonna lie to you.
You're such a hater.
I'm a hater a little bit. And I
That's fine.
No. There's nothing wrong with this, right? And it's a way of cooking. It's a way of going about it and whatever else. And here's the deal. I would be a hypocrite if I said that I've never used a Traeger in a competition. I have, right? So take that aside, whatever else. So many things here. For one, committing to this and doing like I'm doing everything on a Traeger, like do you feel like you're missing something on this, or do you feel like you miss a flavor profile that you got with the actual smoke and offset cooking versus what you're doing now? Do you sacrifice anything? And then my second question would be to follow up with this: what is the technique? And I'm not saying give a technique or what your rub is or anything else, but to actually getting a good smoke ring and a good just cook on your Traeger for brisket. Are you dialing it in really slow and just like 180 degrees for so many hours? Kind of take me through that process there, if you could.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So several questions there. Sacrifice. Yes, I do think you are sacrificing a little bit, because if someone wants like a backyard chicken that's real smoky and, at a contest, if that's kind of the flavor profile of the town or whatever, that's not going to be my day. And so you're not going to get the heavy smoke that you will from an offset, and using the big sticks of wood instead of the small sticks. So, but so I feel like I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage there, but that's fine. I like challenges. And so I actually took it more as a challenge to see, okay, I think I can, after that first contest, I'm like, okay, I think I can do this and I can compete and do well. And so I took it more as yep, I'm going to go after it. And I know I'm at a little bit of disadvantage, but I'm still going to catch you. So just like with any grill, you have to kind of change your cooking to that grill. Whether it's a jambo, you cook on a jambo, a drum or whatever, you have to kind of change things. And so, yes, I do things longer, more low and slow. And, when do most people put their briskets on at a contest where turn-ins at 3:00, for example?
I would say if you're not putting your brisket on by at least the minimum, even on a hot and fast, I would say, 4:30, 5 a.m. Maybe 6. Yeah.
Yep. At most contests, my brisket, if it's on at 10, it's probably late. 10 p.m.
Oh, the night before. Nice.
Yeah, 10 p.m.
Nice.
So anyway, and so regardless, you've got to adapt your cooking style to whatever is offered with your cooker. Now, as it relates to smoke ring, the smoke ring is, okay, I don't want to go down too much in the weeds, but it's basically the nitric oxide from your combustion in the air that it's penetrating the meat, and the myoglobin color, of what it is, it's basically freezing that myoglobin into that color. So if you're not getting a good smoke ring, it's because you're inhibiting the smoke flavor, the smoke from particles from getting into the meat. So what are you doing? What are you doing to do that? Maybe you're packing your rub too much, in terms of it not, basically blocking the pores of the meat. I never pack my rub. I put it on, spritz it a little bit and just kind of let it sweat. And then, so the smoke can actually penetrate that. So I do get pretty darn good smoke rings with a Traeger. And as it relates to recipe, my recipe that I got second and fourth at the San Antonio Rodeo, maybe the profile's totally changed, is on the Head Country barbecue website, and it's the exact recipe.
That's awesome. I love this.
There's something awesome about that. I don't know if you noticed, my wife is a Traeger ambassador, and she.
Oh yeah, is it Denny?
Yeah,
yes.
she only does maybe one competition a year, but the first one she did was an IBCA, and she took first place in brisket, and it didn't matter after that. And there was just something awesome about a chick with a Traeger walking up there taking that trophy that everybody else was just like, what the hell just happened?
She did get booed. She did get
That's
booed.
a beautiful story.
It was pretty awesome.
It was cool.
I guarantee you probably half those guys went out and bought a Traeger before the next competition.
Oh
was
yeah.
something.
Oh yeah. So yeah. But yeah, and yeah. So I mean, now a lot of my friends and stuff cook on Traegers and stuff, and so
Yeah, I got a backyard full of them.
Yeah, I think John's
really
got
does.
four or five Traegers.
At least.
James has one Traeger. I don't have a Traeger.
We don't need Traegers, Jan.
We don't, because I just go to John's or James's house. We're all neighbors, so it's like, hey, dial it up. We're putting something on, and they're definitely versatile, and I know that, right? So as far as like I said, I have talked enough crap about using a Traeger in a competition, but at the same time, I was the same person that said, get this brisket on a Traeger right now because it's not done, and that thing is going to dial it up.
It's going to be
It's going to
consistent
cook
heat.
it in heat where we're fighting the fire. I was like, get it on the Traeger. We'd already had it wrapped, but we had probably 3 different spots. So at that time, we had, I'd say, 6 briskets on Traegers.
yeah.
And they
That
all
would make
finished.
sense, yeah.
They all finished within the allotted amount of time for us to pull them, rest them in coolers, everything else. And then I'm going to ask you this: since you are a big competition person, there, how important is the rest for you, as far as resting your brisket or resting ribs? Maybe a little bit less. I would say chicken probably a little bit less than that. But how do you? What's your process for that?
Chicken, I don't really rest. I can, but really don't rest much at all. Ribs, I don't rest at all either. I take it right off the pit, unwrap it, glaze it, take it off and cut it, and it's in the box. Brisket, I'm the opposite. I rest it probably. If I had my druthers, I'd say 4 hours.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep, 4 hours in a Cambro.
Nice. Yeah.
Same.
That's
I'm going for tender.
Right. Right. And you're still cooking the IBCA. Is that pretty much your world?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll to me, with my day job and stuff, I pick the weekend. So I'll pick a weekend. Let's say, middle of March, this weekend, that's the weekend I can cook. So then I look at IBCA, I look, if I can't find something close, then I'll look at LSBS and I'll, see if they've got something that's kind of close. But, my preference is to, try to cook within a couple of hours. I do the San Antonio rodeo every year, now the Houston rodeo. My wife loves the Buda Wiener Dog contest, so we always wind up doing that. I do the Bandera rodeo, so there's certain standard ones that I like to do because, I'll do anywhere from on the low side 8 to maybe 15. But, it's going to be interesting after this COVID thing because I really haven't cooked. I haven't cooked the contest since Houston rodeo last year, but been cooking a lot. It'll be interesting to see how many I really want to do once, hopefully we're out of that, out of this and go back to cooking and stuff. So that'll be interesting, I think, just as an overall barbecue competition sport.
So, hey, Doug, you've cooked all across the United States, and some of the big ones, the Royale, Jack, Houston, San Antonio. Does the flavor profile change at all? Are you still doing what you do, or do you tweak it for certain areas?
I think you don't have to necessarily tweak it at the Jack, but at my experience at the American Royal is, yes, you need to tweak it. I went up there, in the Invitational, my first year, the Invitational, and let's say there were 140 teams. I think I was 130th. And I'm like, I've never done this poorly in a contest. Well, if I did, it was IBCA and I didn't know. But anyway, so
They weren't tracking it.
Exactly. I guess that's the beauty and the curse of IBCA is you think you're 11th, but you were really 130th. But so I mean, and we didn't think our food was bad. And so we said, okay. So the second day, the only time I've really done this, I said, I'm going sweet. And I went sweet on everything. And we finished about middle of the pack, but we wound up getting 20, I think it was like, let's say a 26th in pork. And that was the last box that we made out of, the garnish. And it looked a little sad on the garnish, but it tasted damn good. And if I would have gotten better appearance scores, I would have probably gotten a top 10. But anyway, so I just went sweet. So that's probably the only time that I would change. Otherwise, I say bring what got you there.
Right. I love that. Yeah, it's something that, being in Texas and I've never really cooked. I think maybe cooked one KCBS competition, and really trying to figure out what are they looking for, what are the judges looking for, especially here in Texas or whatever. But going there and cooking it in those big type of competitions is like those profiles and flavor profiles are so much different there than what they are here. And everybody wants to say like Texas doesn't like barbecue sauce or whatever else. Hey, you're seeing barbecue sauce more and more.
Oh, sure.
In everything that we're doing here, and hence the sweeter brisket or the glaze that people are putting on and whatever else. That's something that I'm always kind of struggling with a little bit as far as how do you balance that as far as still trying to stay true to your roots. But here's the deal: I just want to win. One and two. I think really the harder part would be like going there and like, because here we don't garnish. And it's like knowing how to actually plate a box. I have no idea.
Right. Throw some lettuce in the bottom.
How to plate a box there. Like,
yeah.
What does that even look
there's
like,
tricks. That if you cook next to someone, have them teach you your tricks, so it'll shorten your box time, prep time, and that actually helps a lot. I like no garnish. I mean, so the CBA and them doing, the 4 meats, I'm glad that they're doing pork from that standpoint. But, even then, if we go to KCBS, everyone's turning in mostly thighs, right? So we've got to do thighs. We've got to do a butter bath and, those sorts of things. So you have to change some things. Your ribs, you can't cook to fall off the bone. Here we do fall off the bone. That's right. The judges are going to bite and they want the bite through, and that's totally different than here where it's a fork and the knife, and if the more tender it is, the bigger piece they get and the happier the judge is. So it's different on the how far you take the meat and how you cook it at those other ones. In addition to what you cook, chicken halves versus thighs, for example.
I totally agree, and I would think like cooking thighs, which is a dark meat, right? A thigh's dark meat. Am I crazy on this?
Yep.
To me, it's more a forgiving meat. I would think, but trying to cook a whole half, that to me is very difficult because you don't know where they're going to pull from, right? Are they pulling from their breast? Are they pulling from the leg area or anything else? You don't know where they're going to pull from. And so to me, I think cooking a whole thigh, like us in Texas versus KCBS, we have a leg up because we are used to cooking an entire
no pun.
Yeah, right. Cooking
a chicken leg up.
Yeah,
right? A chicken leg up. But yeah,
so we have a chicken leg up
because you're turning the thigh. But yeah. Well, if I'm judging chicken, I always take from the breast. Because the breast is the hardest to cook, so exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, right.
I don't take, and if I don't take from the thigh or the leg,
because you're the competition guy, and you know what you like. And by the way, Doug, we have a special guest just walked in the room.
We're welcoming in Matt.
Matt from
grabbing the brisket. The Boy Scouts. How fantastic! He's back. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yep. He's actually coming in. Microphone. Let's see. Microphone up. Okay. Headphones are on now. Here he is.
Okay, I'm here. We can start the interview now.
Matt, we'll talk beef ribs. I know you like beef ribs.
Oh,
I saw that.
Nice.
I'm going to cook some this weekend for the game.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Doug, I got a question for you, man. We see, since we've been doing our stalking, that you were in a band. We had a guy on. I don't know if you're familiar with Rich O'Toole or not, but he used to tell us, when he was on the road, that they would make a bus brisket, basically put that thing on the engine block and just as they're, going from city to city, just they'd be cooking a brisket on that thing. Did you ever think about doing anything like that?
No.
Probably not in high school.
No, I've heard of cooking eggs and stuff on that, but no, I wouldn't do that. So yeah.
Yeah, wrong smoke.
What was the name of the band that you were in?
Oh, it was an air band in high school. I was in an air band in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an air band, and
I thought
we
hair
loved.
band.
Yeah, so we loved Motley Crue.
There it is.
Okay, nice.
And I have seen Motley Crue 7 times. I love Motley Crue.
We were supposed to.
And,
Go ahead.
yeah, and in fact, your new intro. You know what band it sounds like? I don't know who it is. It sounds like Buck Cherry.
Okay.
Okay.
It does have a little Buck Cherry vibe to that. It does.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. That's what I thought of when I heard the new intro. I was like, Buck Cherry right there.
We'll have to tell
I was
them
like,
that.
man, these guys are big time if they're getting Buck Cherry.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is Buck Cherry.
We're not trying to put that out there or nothing.
They may or may not have done that for us.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm an '80s hair band guy, so yeah.
That's crazy, man. Because before the Rona hit, and the Rona and all this stuff, we Jan and I actually had tickets to go see Motley Crue, Def Leppard. They were going to be together. It was
no
last
kidding.
July. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all doing baseball stadium tours and stuff like that. And obviously it's since been pushed back. But yeah, man, I'm a big Def Leppard guy myself. But yeah, Motley Crue's awesome, man, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I want to know about. I mean, this air band.
Airband, hairband?
Airband, hairband? Or, I mean, did you
Yeah,
have
it was
instruments at all?
an air band. Yeah, air band.
that's
So
awesome,
yeah, I actually thought I could play the drums. I actually got a set of drums. I have no rhythm. The guy was I mean, I was just like, nope, that's not something. I'm not musically inclined. I took guitar lessons for a while when I was in school. I had to at a class, and as soon as I got done playing, Sweet Home Alabama 1,000 times, I gave that thing away. I was like, I'm done. Yeah. But wish I could do something like that, just not one of my talents.
Sure. Another question. I'm kind of from around where you're from. I'm from Denver City, Texas, which basically right on the border. Yeah. I'm close to Lovington.
I played
and
tennis
Hobbs.
tournaments there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, nice.
Hobbs was the hated enemy of Clovis. Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of a recurring thing when we have people around the area. How was your experience with Allsup's as far as their food goes?
Oh, I heard y'all talking about back in high school, there was nothing better than an Allsup's burrito. I'm just saying.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, yes, Allsup's burrito and Kmart nachos. So yeah, Allsup's. Yeah, that was the place. Allsup's was everywhere.
Yeah, you can't get it around here, and I dig it. Every time I go back, home. Obviously, I live here in Houston now, but when I go back to from anywhere where I can get an Allsup's chimichanga, I was a chimichanga guy for sure, man. But yeah, it's they're the best. They are. They really are.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, that's the only place to get gas because it was cheap too.
So anyhow, where these guys are writing in their journal, they have started a journal.
No. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're taking
they're
notes.
writing. They're writing down their last cook.
Yes, we're taking notes. So I know John kind of proposed this question to you, and then we asked all the guests. I mean, you listened to the episode. So the barbecue fail. I mean, we have to squeeze a barbecue fail out of you.
We know you got some.
I've got a few. So I actually thought, I was with John yesterday that I was telling him some. I actually thought of my biggest cooking failure. I was going to say hot Cheetos wings, but that's not it. It's actually at the American Royal. I was cooking on a Traeger, and this was, the American Royal is so tough. You've got the Invitational, which has 4, and then you've got, the Open, which has, your 4 meats, plus all the ancillary. They've got, beans, potato, what else? Sausage and something else. So it's, it's like 12 turn-ins over 2 days. I'll turn in anything. If there's a contest, I'm going to cook it. Maybe not Pan de Campo, but otherwise I'm going to try to everything. And if I found one with Pan de Campo, I'd probably cook it. But anyway, at the Royal, I only had two Traegers at that time. So I had cooked brisket, and there was a little bit of grease still on my drip pan, and my wife turned up the Traeger to high, let's say 425 or something like that. And so I was walked away, and all of a sudden I saw all this smoke, and she lifted the lid.
Oh, that's a no.
Okay, she lifted the lid. So instead of I just got the fire extinguisher and went whoosh.
Yeah.
And ruined two of her turn-ins. and if anyone's married or been married, you know how many years that took before she stopped mentioning that time that you ruined two of her award-winning turn-ins at the American Royal.
Yeah, because she would have got first place on both of them if you didn't do that. Yeah.
Well, she was cooking her Hasselback potatoes. And there may be some truth to that, because when we went to the Jack that same year, we actually got first place at the Jack in Chef's Choice, cooking ribeye steaks and Hasselback potatoes. We only did it because it was easy, but so maybe she was right. It might have been award winning, but I heard about that for years.
I'm not going to lie to you right now. She is 100% right, and you did ruin her.
She's not listening to it.
Yeah.
She's not listening to it.
Yeah,
So, but another, if I can have one more on a barbecue failure.
Go for it.
Okay. All right, so this isn't let's say food related, but this is when I used to cook with my neighbor as Flameworthy Barbecue. I did that from 09 to 13. But so I had a car that wouldn't pull that much, and so my trailer would kind of be heavy. So, but the pit wasn't much. So oddly enough, he would take my trailer to the contest, and I would take his gator pit to the contest. And so I, went off to work, and, I'll work from, let's say 7 a.m. till 12. And then I would leave for the contest, right. With the, I'd leave in the morning with everything ready to go, and pulling his gator pit and stuff. So I would park it out on the street, and my landlord owned some property across the way. And I parked, every time I'd park right in front of the, tow away zone. And I looked out there about 10 o'clock, and I'm like, holy shit, it's gone. and so I went and asked the maintenance guy, I'm like, what, did you have my car towed? And he goes, no. He goes, we sold that property last month. I was like, oh, no.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So I was in a panic. And so this is about 10:30. So then I kind of get my wits about me. And so I go into the sign. I'm like, okay, I'm calling. And so then I called the company, and they had like 3 drop-off points, right? And they're like, we've got it. We just don't know where it's going. And I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, I finally found out where it went about 12:30. And so I had my business partner take me to that location, and I'm meeting my cooking partner at 2 at the contest. And that was in New Braunfels, about 30 miles away. And so finally at 1 o'clock, I see it out on the lot. And so then it took forever to get the thing out of jail. And so, but can you imagine the tow truck towing my SUV, and then with the barbecue pit behind,
Still attached.
Can you believe
That's
this?
a freight train.
Not giving a shit, just like dragging it everywhere.
That's an asshole.
Yeah, it did drag a little bit on the bottom, because but anyway, so I wound up finally getting it. I just called him. I said, I'm going to be late. Had some things, come up at work. And so I pull in, just kind of shaken to a certain degree, he doesn't really notice anything. So so then we prep our meat and everything, and Friday night's a little brown water night, and so we're kind of sitting around and. So, well, I got a story to tell you, Clinton. And he goes, and to his credit, he took it. He goes, it looks fine. I can't believe you got it back. No harm. And then we went on. But, oh, my gosh, I was so scared. Yeah, that the day of that my car and the pit were gone.
I'm not gonna lie. This may go down it's definitely a top 10 barbecue fail right now.
Yeah, this is
Might
really
be the
good.
greatest.
I love
Okay.
this. I love this.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that. That is great. Hey, do not park in a tow-away zone with your barbecue pit right before the
thinking
competition.
that your landlord still owned the lot, and
yeah.
they sold it to a hotel, guy, and so
Oh, man.
yeah, it was towed. And apparently at those things they go and check them every 30 minutes if the owner wants them to. And so
Easy
that
money.
thing was gone. I was so very scared. So at that one, so yeah, that was at the sheriff's posse up in New Braunfels, but so yeah, that's a good one.
I freaking love that. Yeah. So, hey, Doug, we appreciate you coming on. I mean, it's been a blast. I mean, this hour just had blown past. I feel like we probably need to get you on back again and do another segment or two.
I don't know.
A little bit later on, because
without a doubt.
this was a blast, and we had it's super informative. We learned a lot of stuff, but I feel like you got a lot more knowledge that you need to share with all of us and the listeners.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things I do for Traeger is I love to teach for Traeger, and so talking barbecue is something I love, and so you can hear me on every fourth Tuesday on the Barbecue Central show, and I also appear somewhat on the baseball and barbecue show. So or find me on Instagram, at Road Cookers. But I would love to come back on, and you can schedule me out. And it's probably 2022. Are we on 2022?
Yeah, that's
We're about 72 months out. Yeah.
Hey, we're not that good.
We'll get you in sooner than that for sure.
That's okay. Preparation. You've got to be prepared. So you've got to have your schedule lined out. I'm with you on that.
That's all John right there. John, he's like
I would be the same way.
I need to know.
I would be the same way.
He doesn't have enough hands right now to pat the back of his back.
Yeah, his arm's broken. Yeah,
right.
His back so
Somebody
much.
else.
So I got you. So no, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for reaching out and having me on the show. And I love talking barbecue, and especially with people that are fun and enjoy it as well. So.
Awesome.
Right.
Yeah,
Hey,
we'll definitely do this again.
We definitely appreciate it. And I'm not gonna lie, this hour has been like 20 minutes to me.
Yeah,
Especially for
honestly.
Matt.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
real
looked
fast.
up at 8. Yeah, I looked up at at 43 minutes. I'm like, gosh, it's already been 43 minutes in.
Yeah.
But if the Houston rodeo goes down, I don't think it'll go down in its normal format. But supposedly there may be something at the beginning of May, and maybe on Reed Road or something like that. But more of a smaller cook-off. But hopefully so. And come by, and the Wild Game Crew, and come check us out. I'm actually on the radio on Saturday mornings on KSEV on the Backyard Bay barbecue pool and barbecue show. Okay. And because he comes out to the Houston rodeo, and he's just gotten so much into barbecue now, and he's incorporated that into his hour-long show. So we're on maybe from 5 minutes to 15 minutes at I guess he's on at 9 to 10, and so we're usually on at 9:23. So I'm on in the Houston market. Usually every Saturday from like 9:23 to
check that out.
9:30. Yeah, so check it out. And Miller Pools is Michael Miller is the guy. So where there's usually 1, 2, or 3 of us on that show during that time slot, and we talk about different things. But it's people from the Wild Game Crew. So
nice.
We're on it and out there. So and of course Michael has 2 Traegers now. One at his house and one at his beach house.
Awesome.
Perfect, man.
I
That's
love
awesome.
But gentlemen, it's been great.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having me, and let me know if I can do anything else. And if we're on later in the year, that'd be fantastic. I'd appreciate it.
Doug, we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yes,
Great
sir.
talking barbecue.
Thank you.
We'll catch you in 72
bet.
months.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
That dude was a lot of fun.
Oh my God! Here's the deal. He's very infectious, right? I mean, he is having a good time. He's having a great time with what he's doing, and you can tell that he has a passion for barbecue.
And for people, I think. Like,
Yeah,
he's
without a
just-
doubt.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, super personable, super knowledgeable. I mean, I don't know what I mean.
And goes to Alsos.
Yeah, he knows what the hell an ulcer
He
is.
knows also
I wasn't going to say
burritos.
anything, but he grew up in a worse place than I did because anywhere in New Mexico fucking sucks. But
Oh,
wow.
man. Okay.
There goes our New
Fighting
Mexico
words.
listener.
Yeah.
yeah,
listener.
but they know. That's why they're trying to get out.
Yeah,
too.
I like New
that
Mexico.
dude is awesome, man.
He did
He's
say,
great.
like, I was listening to the Barbecue Central show. He did a little interview with them. He did say that his father was in the military Air Force, so he was stationed there.
Sure.
There in New Mexico, but I guess I don't
Closer
really,
to the Texas border, if you're in New Mexico, you get into the shitty towns.
right. So I don't know all the ins and outs as far as the Air Force goes, but I know his service. He had to either go overseas or he had to go to New Mexico. Like at that point in time, you had to do an overseas duty,
Yeah.
but they considered New Mexico being
Third world.
Nobody wants to go to New Mexico.
overseas
Well,
because
it
it's
depends
remote.
on where you
Dude,
go.
it's
It's
hot.
remote. It's
Yeah.
very
Most go
just
to
out
Mexico.
there.
I mean, you go to like Las Cruces. I mean, that shit's nice over there. You know, you go to Hobbs, New Mexico. Really?
Yeah.
Hobbs, New Mexico.
Albuquerque's not bad.
I like that. Yeah,
That's a good overnight.
The closer you get to, like Arizona, probably the better off you are. But
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
So I mean, a lot of stuff that he dropped on us. I mean, a lot of knowledgeable, a lot of like barbecue knowledge. That some of the stuff that I really didn't even. I was like, what? Like, okay.
No, I think this is a great interview or a great just interview. Just talking with somebody that's
Conversation.
Really, yes, just
For sure.
a conversation
It holds
with somebody
nothing back.
without a doubt. Without a doubt, Alden.
he drops anything on. You ask him a question, he'll give you your answer.
I'm ready to give my answer. Hey, you
Yeah.
want my recipe? It's on this. If you want this, whatever else. I mean, he was ready to give it all. And you know what? I'm glad we kind of held back a little bit. I think at a certain point it was rapid fire, but I do feel like we held back because we're going to have him back on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for
He-
sure.
he's gonna
And
for sure.
he has plenty of more stuff to give out. And,
can
and
tell.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we're doing some coke ribs this
yeah,
week,
right?
So
Yeah.
that's gonna happen. I did see that before. Once I was watching, I guess it was Barbecue Pitmasters, Ernest Cervantes. Like he did a coke in his wrap of his brisket, and I remember Myron Mixon,
Why he got to be Mexican?
Mexican. Asked him like, "What are you putting in there?" He's like, "Coke." He's like, "Why are you doing that?" He's like, "I don't know. I mean, I was taught by an old pit master. That's what he does, and so I'm doing it." And of course, the dude just won everywhere. So like, and that's one thing I was like, I saw it. I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm not going to try that." But
I'm not putting Coke.
Apparently,
on.
we need to.
It's
I
like,
don't even drink Cokes. Why would I put it on my ribs? Man, I gotta start drinking Cokes.
is that why I'm not winning right now?
I don't know.
Shit.
Hey,
Maybe we need
you
to
don't
put-
know.
Yeah.
Coors Light in there.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think Coors Light's winning.
No, not the same.
Yeah.
No, you just got Rich O'Toole picking his ears up like, ooh, Coors Light ribs.
I love this. I love it.
So great
I love it.
interview.
Which, Rich O'Toole could probably use the coke twice if he's doing a bus brisket. He can clean thermals off, on his battery and
That is-
pour it on the
that is
brisket.
true. That is true.
Yeah.
Two birds, one stone,
Yeah.
homie.
I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna
You
get
know?
him booked again. We'll get him. I
we'll
think
get
our
him
next
back on.
opening
Yeah.
is September or something. So
72 months out.
Must be nice, John. Yeah.
We're booked like 5 years in advance. So
That's
if
not
you
true.
think you might be
Guys.
into barbecue competition in the next 5 years,
That's
go
not-
ahead and book now.
that's
I don't
not
even
true.
know how you have me booked for the next podcast next week.
That's-
'Cause I got shit
I don't know
going on,
why
too.
either.
Hey, listen, that's not true, and we were lucky to have anybody on, and
Oh, yeah.
we do appreciate his time.
all these guests have been
here-
freaking fantastic.
yeah, without a
for
doubt.
sure,
and
man,
and
for
to be
sure.
honest, this is a drinking podcast, so I'm not sure if he knew how much we've already drank. Which, by the way,
He probably figured it out.
I only had 2 beers, which is really good. And I actually told Matt this a second ago. I was like, I only had 2 beers during this interview.
Yeah, that's good.
That means This guy kept me so involved. I did not even want to drink a beer. I was just like, nope, it's got to 2 beers an hour. Come on.
Yeah,
That's great.
See, I was on the opposite end of that spectrum because he kept me so engaged. I just had to keep drinking. Like it was awesome.
Instead of like popcorn munching, Alvin was over there
Just drinking like
beer munching.
yeah. Bud Light.
Well,
Light
hey,
munching.
super awesome that he came on and feel really blessed. So
Yeah, can't wait to go back and listen to that interview.
Yep.
Yeah, you missed it.
I think Alden has something to
Maybe
say.
we can hit the people up with the business.
They want the business.
They
You
want the business. Yes, sir.
Well, Matt, you haven't been here, so I can tell you how to get a hold of us.
Tell me.
I'm just kidding. Guys, go to our website, man. You can find everything there. As soon as our badass producer, John, loads up this audio, you can go find this interview we're talking about. And that is www.grabthebrisket.com. Now he's laughing at me. I don't know.
You can find this show you're listening to right now on the website. He's going to tell you right now.
Well,
Go ahead.
And the problem is they took the flag down. Now I can't see what I'm supposed to say. So I don't know if they knew that was a...
GrabTheBrisket.com.
No, I did say that. So I did say that. But anyhow, guys, man, Twitter. I mean, everything. All the social medias, Twitter, and it's by itself. It is at Grab the Brisket, and Facebook and Instagram are one and the same as at Grabbing the Brisket. Like I say, visit the website www.grabthebrisket.com. Right there, you can get hold of us if you want to email us. Because maybe John's too busy, responding to everybody. So just send him an email. It is grabbingthebrisket@gmail.com. GrabTheBrisket@gmail.com. It's one of those.
Okay.
We
We got it there. Yep.
Anyhow, like I say, we want questions, man. So we just had a badass interview, right? So if you want us to ask questions, to somebody that's coming up, man, just put, send an email, send a Facebook message, something, and we'll ask them, and we'll throw your name out there, and hopefully it's a good question, because if it's not, and we'll also let you get grilled. So
Yeah.
Well, on top of that, give us your barbecue fails. Give us your barbecue
Exactly.
wins. If you're out there cooking and you just failed miserably, we want to know.
Yeah. Hey, get engaged.
Yeah. If you're out there winning and you're like, dude, I had this and I did this and I just kicked ass, do we want to know about that as well, right? Yeah. Give us the story. Give us the backdrop. We'll put you on. We're just trying to teach people and let the knowledge out there that everybody knows, hey, this is what we're doing. This didn't work. This is what we're doing. This did work. So,
Yeah.
redemptions, yes.
Big thank you to Doug Scheiding. You can reach him at Rogue Cookers on Instagram. You can also go to Traeger. I think it's TraegerGrills.com, or you can go to the Head Country store, headcountry.com or whatever, and just look for his page on there. I know he's all on that, and look for the content. I know he's got a lot of tips, recipes, and stuff like that out there for you guys to check out, and look for him to be back on the Grabbing the Brisket podcast.
Heck yeah, that's coming.
I can't wait, man.
And in the next few weeks, I'll just put it out there real quick. We have next week we have Mel Schmeilar. I'm probably butchering his name. Dark Side of the Grill.
definitely butchering.
Yeah, I'm sure I am. The following week we have Malcolm Reed.
Yep.
And next week after that we have Burley Boy from his new podcast coming on. So
That's right. Nice.
if you have questions for any of those folks, send them in now.
Let's hear them. So, hey, thank you guys. It's great talking barbecue with you guys.
Peace.
Thanks, everybody. We've been great.
Dang it, Bobby. Just grab the brisket. Or we would like to give a special thanks to FOGO Premium Hardwood Lump Charcoal, Bolner's Fiesta Spices, CoolieNation Custom Koozies, Cambro Manufacturing, Yeti Cooler, the Smoke Sheep Barbecue Newsletter, and Texas Brew Hopper. We appreciate their support. Y'all guys go check them out.